If you knew that in 1 year you would die suddenly, would you change anything about the way you are living now? Why?
Of course I would. If anyone says no to this, I'd be so interested to hear their reasoning. If I knew I was going to die in a year, first I'd ask if it was by drowning. The second, no, I would absolutely. I would just try to experience as much as I could, and instead of traveling the world in 80 days, I'd travel it in 360 probably and save the last like five just for being with family for a while. Maybe rent like a cool house somewhere and just hang out. Yeah, I think that all those experiences that you assume you will accumulate over your lifetime, I would feel this sense of urgency to gather them now, like to see that place, to taste that food, to go to that show. And kind of contrary to what I was saying before, I don't think I would feel bad spending a little bit of extra money. And I probably would end up, even like not renting out my apartment anymore and just using that money that I spend on rent to pay for hotel rooms and try to experience life to the fullest, because I feel like that is such a cool thing about being on this planet is how it is so diverse, and again learning more and even getting a wider worldview than my college gave me and experiencing that would definitely be how I would spend the last year.
I take it Scott would come with you, right?
I hope, yeah. I hope that his like work would understand. I don't know how you'd explain that to someone. This is like such an unprecedented thing. Like, hey, yeah, my girlfriend's gonna die in a year, so like I'm just gonna quit and we're just gonna go travel the world. I would hope they would just believe him and be like, yeah, man, like we'll see you in a year.
My girlfriend's gonna die in a year. There's an optimistic way to say it, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be single in a year.
Yeah, that's another. Yeah, so he's like, yeah, I gotta go travel with her. That way, I figure out where I want to go back to with the next girlfriend.
What does friendship mean to you?
Friendship, the actual relationship of two people, it needs to be this kind of mutual and fair support. It can't be too much give from one and too much take from another. So I think a balance of listening and helping and offering advice, or even just being the one to initiate something. And that's something that I have not been very good at during this quarantine, especially. I understand that a lot of my friends are going through similar things. And I think, again, it's mutual. We know what we're going through, and we are always there for each other. And there is a reliability. And yeah, I think that's it. Is so friendship being a reliable source of support for both people and it being fair. 50-50 maybe isn't realistic. Everyone's different with different needs. They show their love in different ways. And yes, friends are allowed to say they love each other. And if you don't tell your friends that you love them, then try it out. See how it goes. It's crazy. I tell my babe friends from college that I love them, and they just say I love you too, just like your mom would say it back without blinking. Just that kind of support for each other. Well, I think that's the thing, is it's what does friendship mean to me, and that's so hard because it's if I looked at individual friendships in my life, I would probably find different purposes in each of them. Like, what is this friendship fulfilling? To be analytical, and logical, like Spock, is what is the purpose of this friendship in my life? That's true. Is that, yeah, sometimes you do just want someone to catch up with and sit and talk with for a few hours. And then you're like, well, we ran out of things to talk about. So let's go spend a couple of years apart, gather up some new conversation pieces, and we'll meet back at this coffee shop in a year or two. It just depends on what that individual person is. I think that whatever it is, it has to be agreed upon by both parties. Their idea of our friendship can't be totally different from what my idea of the friendship is. So that's where that kind of mutual support and reliability comes in, is having that shared understanding of, well, what are we getting out of this? Are we just laughing ridiculously together? Or do we sit down and act like therapists for each other? Or do we just suggest TV shows to each other? I don't know. It could be different.
What roles do love and affection play in your life?
You really need to understand what my definition of love is to know what role it plays. And there are so many different types of love, of course, but deep down, when you love someone, you care about them so much, and it consumes you in a way that's different than, oh, I care about the hockey game that's on later because like I'm interested to see if my team wins. That doesn't matter at the end of the day. My team could lose because they do anyway, and I still go on living just fine. Love is when you invest in something and you care about something so much that if something was wrong with it, it would actually hurt you and pain you in a way. The role that love plays in my life, it's just to be able to understand where I'm at with that person and making sure that I am able to show them how much I care and I love about them. And I affection is something that my family was never huge on. We were just kind of huggers. I didn't really get kisses or anything. Maybe when I was really small. So affection is something that I've explored more in my romantic relationships, and something that I am like such a kiss monster now. I like can hardly pass by like Scott's desk when he's working, like just to go wash my hands even without like kissing him on the cheek. Like I like hardly care if it distracts him for a half a second, because instead of working like for a half a second, he's like reminded of how much I love him, and that's something that I don't know we do enough, is actually taking time to show or even just say what it is. And I know affection doesn't have to be physical. Like you can be affectionate in ways that are just, we could talk about the five love languages, right? Is it physical affection? Do you want to get a gift that's very thoughtful? Do you want to give someone your time? It's huge. And I think that love and affection in my life is everything, because obviously I love my students in a different way than I love my family and my boyfriend, but I show that in the care and the time that I try to put into my lessons. I try to make sure that it's interesting for them. And so a lot of the why I do things the way I do things is the root. It's the root of all the things. And it's why do I spend time with this person? Why did I spend money on this person? And, what am I going to do next? How am I going to do it? Well, how am I going to do it in the most loving way I can?
Share 5 positive characteristics about yourself.
Number one, I think I am very creative, and not just in the artistic sense, even though that is true as well. I love when I can combine both of them. For example, I wanted to buy an incense holder when quarantine first hit, and I wasn't about to go out shopping for something so trivial and insignificant. So I was like, well, maybe I'll actually buy something online for once, because that's something I try to not do. I hated the ones I saw online. They were way too expensive or way too ugly. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to make one. The creativity with the arts and even just with problem solving is something that I find to be a very lucky thing for myself to have. Number two, I am very friendly and I will smile and say hello to everybody. I felt like I was friends with almost everybody that I worked with at Disneyland, and I feel like I'm friends with almost all coworkers. If I don't think I'm like ignorant to their signs, they hate me because I'm a very observant person. I like to observe and like pick up on, social cues and body language, but I try to be very friendly, and I think it's very off-putting to some people. Like I'll be like, hello. They're like looking at me to see if they know me first. And I'm like, nah, you don't need to know me. I'm just a human who's like in the same vicinity as you and we're passing by. So just wanted to give you a greeting. Yeah.
I don't know anybody who didn't love you. They're like, "Oh, I love her." I always feel more pumped after I've spent time with you.
So why aren't my students turning in their homework assignments then? I talk to them all day long. Number three, I think I'm very thoughtful towards other people. I am a part of a postcard exchange, an international postcard exchange. And when I get my next, hey, send a postcard to this person, I will analyze their profile and I will look at the postcards they've liked, and I will make sure to pick out the best postcard for them, because I have hundreds to choose from. This is like a crazy hobby of mine. And if I can't find a good card for the postcard exchange or a good card for someone's birthday, I'll make the best card. Well, I really try to take time to be thoughtful and figure out what people like. It's something that I actually get joy out of too. I don't want to seem like, oh yes, it's for them. Like I love that. I love sitting down and making sure that it's awesome, because people are worth it. They deserve it. They deserve to have these little things remembered about them, or, these little things paid attention to, because it's what makes us special and unique anyway. And so when someone else recognizes that and affirms that, of course you're going to get like a smile from them, or they're going to feel that warm feeling. And if they're feeling that warm feeling, then I'm going to feel that warm feeling. Being thoughtful is something that I think is beneficial to everybody. Number four, I'm very organized. I think I have to be, just in my profession. Honestly, if someone was like, "Wow, my closet's a mess," I'd be like, "Invite me over. Just brew a cup of coffee. Let's get it done." I love boxes and I love folding, but it's not so crazy. I give myself grace. I'm not totally obsessive about it and compulsive about it. I like things to look nice. I have a standard and I want to know where things are and I want to know if it's clean. And everything's a part of a system, a very organized system. And that's something that I think is very positive about myself because it's only beneficial, really, in day to day life. And number five, I'm always the person they're like, oh, we need someone to volunteer. I will, like, or oh, is someone available to? I am. That's me. I am the person to do that, and that's something that maybe I could keep myself in check on too. Though is kind of harnessing that enthusiasm so that I don't get overwhelmed and overloaded. Making sure that I still know how to say no or yes if. That's a big word, by the way. That if is yes, I would like to help you if you can do this first. So that's something that I'm working on. But I really like being involved. And, even though my perfect day is being spent at home, it's because I am so involved on a normal day. So creative, friendly, thoughtful, organized, and enthusiastic.
How close and warm is your family? Do you feel that your childhood was happier than most other people's childhood?
To measure this, I need like a unit of measurement to start with, and I need like to compare to other people. I think we're close. We're warm enough. But as we talked about, we weren't very like physically affectionate, but we check up on each other. And I've never once walked in and my family's like, why are you here? Everyone's excited to see each other. And when you call, they would take time to talk. So I think we're close and warm enough. And my childhood, I think, was happier maybe than most other people's. Again, going back to all those opportunities, I just have so many fond memories of all the traveling we did, whether it was to national parks or, we even got a pool built and would have people over for summer. We went so many places. I feel like overall we had fun. We tried to have fun. And I don't know if it was like a filler for all those like bad times my mom and dad were having, but I think that as a kid, my childhood, it was just so great and it definitely let me to catch that wanderlust bug. Yeah, I did have a happy childhood because of all of those opportunities, all those experiences that I can look back on now with such fondness.
How do you feel about your relationship with your mother?
I love my mom. I used to hate it, but like people would meet me or like meet her, and then they'd meet the other one of us, and they'd be like, "Oh wow, you guys are so alike," and I'd be like, "I'm my own person, damn it." It's a compliment now. She's really, truly an amazing woman. I'm so lucky to have learned so much from her, just about how to handle things. She is a tough, independent woman like me. So we don't really keep in touch regularly. We'll reach out when we want to or we need to, but we can go weeks without talking to each other. It's fine. Nothing's wrong. I know people that talk to their mothers very frequently, and that's just not us. That's just our relationship. She's a terrible texter, and I'm a terrible texter. We'll get together and we'll laugh and have a blast, and then I'll leave, and then we just don't talk. We have a place in each other's lives, but we have other people that are first. And I think that we both understand that. I appreciate it because she's not up in my hair all the time about things, and I can just do my own thing and make my own decisions. And if I need help along the way and advice along the way, she is a phone call away.
Make three we true statements. For instance, we are both in this room.
Three true we statements for you and I, DJ. Well, we worked in Fantasyland together. That was fun because we loved making the magic there. And we were those cast members that really cared about the families and the fun and creating those moments when we could and creating those special experiences. So that is true for both of us. We both enjoy just sitting and talking. And I appreciate this because in a world right now that is virtual everything, I feel like nothing can get scheduled without there having to be like Jackbox or some sort of game. And I love that. I enjoy that. I have fun every now and like it has to be like every other for me. And I know that we've done things like that and had fun, but we've also just sat and talked. And I love that you are comfortable doing that and that that's actually something that you enjoy. You don't just do it to entertain me, you actually enjoy the conversation as well. and we both enjoy creating arts. And I love it because we both do such different things. It's not like a competition at all. I'm kind of like, this is more of a side hobby, and this is like your essence is being an artist. And even if it's not visual art, it's comedic art. And so it's always fun, even though I'm not on stage, when we can just be funny, just admiring like your art. And then you being like, oh, wow, your art is so great. I'm like, no, but no, you, no, you. Those three we's, there they are.
Complete the sentence. I wish I had someone with whom I can share.
A castle with. Okay, imagine it's already paid for. I'm holding the deed. The tapestries are hung. The moat is up. We don't want any visitors. The corridors, they're haunted, ancient ghosts from the Renaissance. And I'm there with someone just eating roasts and suckling pig and drinking wine, of course, from like a barrel, not from bottles. You don't do that in a castle. It's such a big place for me to live alone that I need company, right? And if it's haunted, I might get scared. I might need an escort back to my beautiful bedroom in the towers. So yeah, I need someone to share this castle with, please.
If you were going to become close friends with your partner, share what would be important for him or her to know.
So he already knows this, but I think I need to say it for myself, and that's helpful sometimes. I could be very sassy without even knowing it. Truly, it is something that I struggle with. I just have a tone that I don't hear in my own ears sometimes, and it's very off-putting depending on the situation. But I have considered the option that I'm just a very vocal woman who will share her opinion, and some people do not like that, and that's just them being uncomfortable. Then again, it's like maybe we need to meet halfway. Maybe I also could say it less sassy. Yeah, I think that's it. Is if I say something in a way that seems extra sassy, I might not have known. So maybe just ask me if I meant to be so rude. And then I'll go back and I'll re-say it in a nicer, more Disney princess tone.
You are very much a Disney princess.
Well, Sarah means princess. And I have this really cool story. When I was at Disneyland, I was such a polite, patient child. And so I was in line to meet Cinderella. And people just kept cutting in front of me. And I just was like, oh, I think this was before they had like a good system for the character host. It was like every kid for themselves. And my mom, she was like, yeah, I'm going to raise an independent young woman. She's going to go wait in line alone. I'll just kind of be watching right over here, really close by. But I want her to go meet Cinderella. So a couple kids kind of got in before me, and then Cinderella noticed because she's a mega babe, and she like paused. She like put her little princess hand out. She was like, "Yes, my dear, why don't you come up?" I was like, "Oh my God, she's talking to me." She grabs my autograph book that, of course, I had, and she says, "What's your name?" And I'm like, "Sarah." And she's like, "Oh, did you know that Sarah means princess?" And I was like, "Yeah, I did." And she's like, "It's a lovely name." And I was like, "Yes, it is." Like, I was just like, how can you disagree with anything Cinderella says? Yeah, I like never really cared about that. And I still kind of don't. But that in that moment, I was like, I am a princess with you, Cinderella. And you and I are princesses together. It was fun. It was great.